The Sun Devils dominated Wyoming to open the year. We got to talk about it and hand out some game balls.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Ricie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. A shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Do me a favor, if you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers, and we'll find a way to celebrate together as a channel. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast with zero sugar and a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB for 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order. Cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in. Happy Victory Monday to the Sun Devils, who are 1-0 to start the year. And unlike last year, when the Sun Devils were 1-0, this was a big win for ASU. You want to talk about a confidence builder. This is the kind of game that builds your confidence. ASU just dismantled Wyoming. I mean, they did whatever they wanted on offense, on defense. They killed it. Whatever they wanted to do. They ran the ball efficiently. They passed the ball efficiently. They dialed up a pass rush. They generated 3 turnovers and scored on 2 of them. Outside of a couple of missed field goals, this team just did everything. And we're here today to talk about the good and the bad. Spoiler alert, there's not that much bad to talk about. Some takeaways and hand out some game balls. That's what we do on Mondays following a game. Let's go ahead and dive right into this bad boy. Now, we're going to go ahead and start with the good. And there's a lot. There really was not much that ASU did wrong in this game. But it starts with Sam Leavitt, who captained this offense and was just really efficient. Something I talked about on Saturday for our game day preview. I wanted to see Sam Leavitt come out. I wanted to see him be efficient, and I wanted to see him make sure he didn't turn the ball over. I was hoping that ASU would be able to shrink the playbook a little bit, make things nice and easy for him in his first game in Tempe and his 5th ever game in college football. ASU did a great job of doing that. But Sam Leavitt did as good a job of executing during this game. 14 of 22 passing, 258 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He also killed it as a runner, where he ran for 47 yards on 8 carries. Keep in mind, 2 of those carries were sacks that went for a loss of 14 yards. So homeboy ran for 61 yards on 6 carries. You got a dual threat. You have a dual threat quarterback. And going into the year, I have said many a times that Leavitt is a much better athlete and runner than we expected. This game was beyond my expectations. He truly looked like a difference maker as a runner. Like, not someone that is looking to run, but also not somebody that is hesitant to run. He wasn't afraid to do it. When the pocket broke down, he was going to get out of the pocket. And sometimes it was just to extend the play. Sometimes it was to kill you with his legs. But the bottom line is he was dangerous. He was efficient when he was a runner. He was also confident as a passer. Again, 14 of 22 passing. That's a rock solid 63.6% pass completion. You will take that every day of the week and twice on Saturdays. He distributed the ball really well as well. 7 different players caught at least one pass. He just spread it out really well. The leading receiver was Jordan Tyson with 4 catches. Other than that, it just went around really well. And that's what you want to see from your quarterback, is the ability to distribute evenly, not lock on to one player, especially like right now, early in the year, where you don't necessarily have like a true number one receiver yet. It's really good to get everyone involved, get everyone incorporated. Sam Leavitt did a great job of that. He also had a 68-yard touchdown that went to Keyshaun Brown, who ended the game with the most receiving yards with 73. It was a well drawn up screen. Keyshaun Brown does the rest. Leavitt also had a pass to the far sideline to Shimon Mateer. Mateer is able to create after the catch and get into the end zone. So Leavitt is doing a great job getting the ball out to his guys and allowing them to make plays. As long as he's able to continue doing that, ASU is going to be in great shape this year offensively. The run game was another huge win for this team. 241 rushing yards for the Sun Devils in this game on 49 carries. Again, take away 2 of those carries, 47 carries for 255 yards. 47 carries for 255 yards. That is a 5.4 yards per carry. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. They also were able to get into the end zone twice, which included DeCarlos Brooks just running dudes over. 6 carries, 47 yards. Chunk plays out of DeCarlos Brooks. It's good to see him healthy again, because that is a downhill runner. Scadaboo also got in the end zone, 11 carries, 49 yards, and a score. It's nothing we're not used to. Scadaboo was running hard. He was running through tackles. He was making guys miss. Jason Brown was able to get involved. That was fun to see. 4 carries, 33 yards. Keyshaun Brown, 6 carries, 25 yards. Alton McCaskill, 7 carries, 17 yards. ASU got all of their running backs involved. They got all 5 of the guys who were active a carry in this game. They were able to get everybody a good amount of carries too. DeCarlos Brooks had, Jason Brown had the lowest amount of carries with 4. That's pretty good to be able to get your 5th string running back 4 carries in a game and then let him do what he did as well. They ran the ball great. And the offensive line did a really good job run blocking too. Like, it wasn't just the running backs that were doing the heavy lifting here. The offensive line did an awesome job during this game, especially with the run blocking. It was phenomenal. Like, ASU was just able to do absolutely anything and everything when it came to running the football. Inside, outside, whatever. The defense, sick nasty. 3 turnovers in this game. 2 of them taken back for touchdowns. 3 sacks. Barely 100 yards of total offense allowed in this game. 118 yards of offense. And I think like 30 or 40 came in the final drive of the game. 74 yards. 74 yards came on the final drive of the game, where Wyoming was just doing everything they could to not get shut out, which successfully did in their defense. That's insane. 32 carries for 40 yards in this game. And sure, their quarterback had 6 carries for negative 30 yards because of those sacks, but their starting running back still had 17 carries for 43 yards. This is a run-heavy football team, by the way. 2.5 yards per carry for their lead running back. A team that wants to run the football. That's, I'll call it as it is. That's badass. That is badass effort by the defense. in the passing game. 10 of 20 allowed for 78 yards, under 4 yards per attempt. 2 interceptions, one touchdown allowed, which, again, that was very last drive of the game. They killed it. They were all over the place. Zyrus Fiaseu, first pass attempt of the game, takes it to the house. Later on, Keyshaun Elliott just picked off right in the middle of the field. The linebackers were reading not the defense, were reading the offense really well. They were doing a really good job doing their 111, staying home, and doing everything right. It was just textbook, the way that they were going out and playing the defense. Phenomenal. Great game called by Brian Ward. They dialed up pressure. Clayton Smith got home for a sack. Elijah O'Neal got home for a sack. Kavion Thunderbird got the 3rd sack for the team. They were living in the backfield. They just did everything in this game. They were swarming too. Shamari Simmons played a phenomenal game out of the nickel spot and was able to control the line of scrimmage from the sidelines. Like, you could not get outside trying to run the football because number 7 was just right there. He did such a great job keeping everything in front of him and allowing other guys to get up there, swarm tackle, and do their thing. Great game from Shamari Simmons. Great game from the defense as a whole. Only bad of this game was the special teams. And when I say special teams, I mean kicking. ASU missed 2 field goals in this game. Ian Hershey and Karsten Kiefer each missed a field goal. Of course, I don't have the yardage in front of me. I'll try and find it here. Unfortunately, the missed field goal at the end of the first half by Ian Hershey, 38 yards, that was not great. And Kenny Dillingham was very frustrated about that. He was frustrated about the entire sequence and says that's got to be something that they work on moving forward, is that 2-minute, 4-minute offense. It was not a good drive. And unfortunately, they were not able to capitalize with points. And then at the end of the game, Karsten Kiefer gets out there, attempts a 43-yarder, not able to make it. Is what it is when you're up 48-0. It's not a big deal. Obviously, you wish you were able to make it, but things happen. If that's the worst thing that goes on in this game, is you miss 2 field goals when you beat a team by 41 points, take that and run. Next up on the pod, we're going to go ahead and talk about key takeaways from this game. We're going to hop into that in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're tired after lunch, you're not alone. In fact, research shows that 70% of us are going to hit a wall after lunch. Let a 5-Hour Energy Shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. 5-Hour Energy is a brand hardworking people like you have trusted for over 20 years to give them the alert, energized feeling they need to get through a busy, hectic day. You always know where to find 5-Hour Energy Shots right at the cash register of nearly every convenience, drug, and grocery store nationwide. Stock up on money-saving multi-packs to make sure you never run out of delicious, energizing 5-Hour Energy Shots. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, and that's the number 5hourenergy.com, get yourself some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Again, go to 5hourenergy.com today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB and get 20% off of your order. Wherever you get your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you get those shows. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. And of course, a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Let's go through some takeaways. I got 4 takeaways from this game. First and foremost, Sam Leavitt looks great, but there's room to grow. There was a lot of positives in this game from Sam Leavitt. He looked incredibly confident as a player. And that confidence by itself is going to win ASU games this year. Having a quarterback that is able to stand in the pocket, deliver throws down the field, take off when he needs to take off, stay cool, calm, collective. That's huge for Sam Leavitt. There's stuff to work on, though. There's some touch passing that he can get better with. When he runs, Kenny Dillingham says he's not really a slider, but they're going to be working on him diving forward and putting himself down. So I would prefer he slide, but as long as he's getting down and being smart, end of the day, that's the most important thing. He did take 2 sacks in this game. The first one, I would not put on him. Second one, I think it was kind of 50-50. Like, it was overall a good night for the offensive line, but there was some pressure. There's definitely room for improvement from the tackles. Max Ioniker and Josh Atkins were responsible for the 2 sacks. There's always room for improvement. I'm not worried about it at all. Sam Leavitt just needs to continue to work on the pocket presence, be as confident moving forward as he was in this game. You're going to be fine. Start getting down with running. I don't want to see you take any big hits. There's a lot of good in this. There's not a ton of negative to take out of this game. So as long as Sam Leavitt is able to build on this, you're in a really good situation with where you're at quarterback moving forward. Next takeaway, the run game is as advertised. I've been talking all offseason. I'm not the only one who's been talking all offseason about this running game. I said you have 6 starters in this backfield. In this game, you had 5 guys. Relief Brown was not healthy. He did not play. You had 5 guys who came out and were able to be effective. When your worst guy was Alton McCaskill, 7 carries, 17 yards, but he's playing with the backups, like, take that with a grain of salt. You were so effective throughout the game. Cameron Scadaboo, right about 4.5 yards per carry in this game. DeCarlos Brooks, 7.8 yards per carry. Jason Brown, 8.3 yards per carry. Kyson Brown, 4.2 yards per carry. Everyone was efficient in this game. Having that efficiency is all that matters in the long run. They were able to get into the end zone twice. That was more than enough in a game where you had 2 through the air and 2 defensive touchdowns as well. They did a great job in this game on the ground. They just controlled the pace of this game. You ended up controlling the clock for 37 minutes and 4 seconds. Time of possession was easy work for the Sun Devils in this game. It was as simple as tying their shoes. And it's because of how good they were able to run the football. And again, credit to the offensive line as well, as they were doing a great job opening up lanes, keeping the guys clean. From there, you have Brooks and Scadaboo just running over dudes. Everything looked great for them. They are absolutely one of the best teams for running the football in the Big 12 this year. It's insane that nobody gave them a lot of credit outside of Tempe, Arizona, for having such a deep running back room. This was a game to put everybody on notice. Next takeaway, Brian Ward is a defensive guru. We knew going into this year, Brian Ward was one of the best defensive coordinators in the Big 12. He's one of the best defensive minds that the Sun Devils have had in the last 10 years. I said it, and I feel very good about that. Brian Ward knows what he's doing. This is such a smart guy. I would not be surprised if by the end of the year he's going to get some calls from other programs to either take over as a defensive coordinator at a bigger program, or maybe a smaller school is ready to take a chance on Brian Ward to become a head coach. He's going to get calls. He is so good. This is a guy who just is so smart, so detailed with the way that he is able to call a defense. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal the way that you can dial up pressure, the way that you can create your coverages. Whatever was working in this game was so much of it was attributed to the play calling. Yeah, the guys have to go out and execute, but they're being placed in a great situation here because of Brian Ward. You can tell that in year 2, the guys who are returning from last year's defense are more comfortable. They are really developing in this system. The guys they brought in, they're picking up on it. They've got something really good going here on defense. This is a defense that's going to stun a lot of people this year. Brian Ward is going to orchestrate it all year. He's going to be the guy that obviously is the coordinator. He's the guy to call it. What I'm saying is this defense is absolutely going to be a product of Brian Ward and the way that he has been able to just completely dominate since he got to Tempe. It was good defense last year. It's a great defense this year. Let's see if he can keep it going, but I'm pretty sure by the end of the year, Brian Ward's going to be getting calls from other programs. Last takeaway here before we start handing out some game balls. This is not the worst team in the Big 12. What are we doing? The preseason poll picked ASU to finish last, 16th in the Big 12. I said during the offseason, you've got 2 tiers. You've got the elite tier, and you've got the bottom dwellers of the Big 12. Then you've got some teams that are in limbo. I don't think that it's a middle tier. I don't. I think that these teams are going to end up sorting themselves out by the end of the year. ASU, I said, was in that middle, that muddled area where it's like, I don't know where you belong. They look like they belong a lot closer to the best teams than they do the worst teams. It's the deep team. It's a vastly talented team at the top. It's a well-coached team. Not only is Brian Ward a great defensive coordinator, Marcus Arroyo in his first game as the offense coordinator was masterful. Kenny Dillingham's a great coach. The coaching staff in general, your positional coaches, terrific. You have everything figured out from a staff standpoint. Now you've got a much more talented roster than last year. You've got guys who are returning that are beasts. Guys that are going to absolutely not dictate the season. What's the word I'm trying to think of? They're define. They're going to define this season. It's a great team. It really is. I'm standing firm. This is at least a 6-win team, maybe a 7-win team. Who knows? Maybe they could be better. Maybe you find some upsets during this season. With the way that they came out in this game, the confidence that they showed, it's enough to make you wonder how good they can be. And the national media was like, oh, hey, we were wrong about this ASU team. It's one game, I understand. It's so much different if you watch the game. Now we are going to go ahead and hand out some game balls. I've got 3 game balls to hand out. It's going to look really different compared to how we're going to hand out game balls for the end of the year. I'll explain why in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey there, Locked On Sun Devils fans. I want to take a moment and give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game I think you're going to love as much as I do, Ultimate College Football Head Coach. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. You imagine being the head coach of Arizona State, from recruiting players, hiring coaching staff, to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships. You control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I love about the game is you're responsible for offensive play callings during the games. Your strategy is going to determine the success of your football season. It's also going to shape the future and the legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is completely free. There's no ads, and it is 100% playable offline. You can go on the go. You can play wherever, whenever you want to. Of course, we got a special offer too for Locked On Sun Devils fans. Use the promo code Locked On CFB, all caps, inside the game store and receive a free boost to your program. Make sure you take advantage of this perk as it's going to get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up in any of your app stores. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Make your coaching legacy today. One more time, wherever you get your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making us your first listen of the day. Shout out my everydayers. We're here every day. Subscribe on YouTube if you have not yet already. We're closing in on 900 subscribers. We're going to get to 1,000 really, really soon. Help us get there. We're going to find a way to celebrate together as a channel. Time to hand out some game balls. I got 3 game balls. It's going to look different than it is the rest of the season. Now, what I mean by that is usually the way this works is I will pick 3 people and 3 people will get a game ball. It's not going to look like that. In fact, one of them is split between 2 people that we'll get to. But we'll start with the way this is usually going to go. And we're going to give it to one player, Sam Leavitt. I've talked about him a lot on this podcast, so I'm not going to feed a fed horse here. Sam was great. He was effective. He was efficient. He was a playmaker. He made really good passes. He was dynamite as a runner. He was competent. He did everything you needed him to do in his first game as a starting quarterback for Arizona State. It was perfect. It was a perfect game, down to the last minute details. Outstanding. Here's a game ball for you, Sam. This is not going to be your last this year. It is the first of many. Congratulations, young man. Second game ball. We're giving it out to an entire unit. It's going to the offensive line. As great as the run game was, it was a collective effort from the guys. Leading rusher had 49 rushing yards. You had 3 guys who eclipsed 40 rushing yards in this game. You had a third guy, you had 3 guys of 40 yards. You had a 4th player with 30 rushing yards. They just did it with everyone. Everyone got involved and everyone did a great job in this game. And it's because the offensive line was able to step up and do their thing. With the offensive line playing as efficient as they were, you can't ask for much more from this team, from this group. Outstanding performance from the offensive line. Want to specifically shout out Lief Fautanu. Lief as the center, in charge of everything. He did a great job recognizing defenses. He did a great job setting up everyone around him to be able to do their assignments, recognize what was going on. Sam Leavitt specifically highlighted Lief as one of the biggest reasons for the success of the offense and one of the biggest reasons for his confidence in this game. When the starting quarterback is telling you flat out, hey, the center, yeah, he's one of the reasons why I felt so good. That's good enough for me. Here's the game ball. I got to give it to the whole unit because everyone played well, from the starters to the backups to the guys who were rotated in. Great job all around. Lief Fautanu specifically, little shout out for you there. Friend of the podcast. Outstanding game, Lief. Last game ball, we're splitting it. This is going to both of the offensive coordinators, Brian Ward, Marcus Arroyo. I sang a lot of praise about Brian Ward already. I don't want to not waste, but I don't want to talk more about it. I want to talk about Marcus Arroyo. Marcus Arroyo, man, wow, just What a great game he called. Balanced. 22 passing attempts, 49 rushing attempts. They got run heavy towards the end of the game. For the first 3 quarters, ASU did a great job mixing it up. At no point in time was Wyoming able to key in on this team. There was not a point in time where ASU was a one-dimensional offense. This is a team that I said needs to be run heavy this year. And I stand firm on that. But with that in mind, this team, they played so well as a unit through the air and through the ground, and they complemented each other. You had an air attack that was just killing the middle of the field, first of all. Wyoming's zone that they were running, Sam Leavitt was just delivering dots across the middle. It was easy. He was playing pitch and catch with those guys. And Marcus Arroyo was a huge reason for that because he was able to pick up on it. He saw what the defense was running. He made adjustments, and the offense delivered. You also were just able to completely take advantage of a team that couldn't cover the middle of the field, and then you had a run game that made it so they couldn't drop guys in the coverage. You had to respect the run game. You had to play up near the line of scrimmage. They didn't have a choice. If they didn't do that, ASU was going to run for 300 yards. They still ran for 241 with 14 yards taken away because of sacks. They killed it. They absolutely killed it. From passing to running, play calling was phenomenal. Marcus Arroyo, terrific. Outstanding first impression in this game. He attacked the short, the intermediate. They pushed the ball down the field. It wasn't there in this game. There wasn't really too many big shots down the field that they connected on. We'll work on that. But in the meantime, when you're picking up 10 to 15 yards per pass completion, whether you're behind the line of scrimmage or you're down the middle of the field, it's perfect. It was perfect down to the last minute details, to use that quote again. Let me know if you understand that reference, by the way. Bottom line, great play calling from Marcus Arroyo. Great play calling from Brian Ward. Great game all around. This was an excellent performance. Excellent performances from individual players. Excellent performances from units entirely. Excellent performances from your play callers. And Kenny Dillingham, of course, gets a shout out as well for placing ASU in such a great position to have success in week 1. He said so himself. This team, the way they played, was indicative of the way that they practice, was indicative of the way that they have carried themselves this offseason to prove that they are better than they were a year ago, to prove the doubters wrong. Kenny Dillingham says that this team was ranked where they were supposed to be ranked going into the year. 16th out of 16. He said that's fine. The way he answered the question, he was pissed. I don't want to put words in his mouth. It really seems like Kenny took it a little personally. And this team absolutely took it personally. They came out in week 1. They looked like one of the best teams in the Big 12. Let's see if they can continue to carry that momentum moving forward. What were your thoughts on the first game of the year? Let me know in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter, Ricie Bradshaw 36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you get your shows, though, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks for making us your first listen of the day. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow to continue talking about this game before we move on and start preparing for Mississippi State at the end of the week. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked